and at the 7 o'clock shir, tomorrow I'm going to repeat that based on Taanis. I don't want to get ahead because people get upset when they get ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm not on the daf. And at the 9 o'clock shir, I'm doing that Gimel on Taanis. And the reason why at the 9 o'clock shir I'm doing Gimel on Taanis is because Avraham Meisbrod has a bris for 9 o'clock on Monday. He's not saying shir. And it's going to be very hard for me to say shir on Monday for them. So I'll just say daf Gimel tomorrow at 9. Because that's when Moshe comes.
I wanted to say that, but I figured that would be.
That's exactly what it is.
Today,
How many slices of pizza should we have Tirke bring down to you guys over there?
Oh, Dumigal, come
on. Now you're going to have some
delivering pizza.
Gewaltig. Okay. So we are about 6 lines down from the wide lines on the Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. And there was a discussion in the Mishnah. Do you have to daven by yourself if you're a baki, or can you rely on the shliach tzibur? The Tanakama said you got to daven by yourself, and the Gamliel says rely on the shliach tzibur. Tanya, we look. Amalei Rabbi Gamliel, lidvarecha. According to you, you can always rely on the chazan. Lama tzibur mispalim. So why do you ever have a shliach tzibur? Amalei told him, what do you mean? Kedei lahaster shliach tzibur tefilasei. The shliach tzibur has to do a practice run. And everybody's hoping that the shliach tzibur will get hoarse and he'll be the guy. So therefore, everybody's preparing for the Shmoneh Esrei and their still Shmoneh Esrei. I didn't find that Nakuda in any of the Rishonim. Armelahen, Rabbi Gamliel, Lidavreichen, according to you, that you have to daven by yourself. Lama shliach tzibur yared lefnei teva. Why do you need a chazan? Clearly, Rabbi Gamliel was not a chazan. I don't think someone like Ari Lightman would understand this Gemara's kasha. Lama shliach tzibur yared lefnei teva. Amar Lai, they told him, what do you mean? Not everybody knows how to daven. So those who don't know how to daven need a shliach tzibur. Amar Lahem. No, they don't know the words. They didn't have a chayim in those days. Amar Lahem. I'm sorry, it went over my head. Amar Lahem, Kishem, Shemoitzi, at She'enei Baki. Just like the shliach tzibur can be moitzi any baki, kach moitzi is a baki. It could also be moitzi the baki. Amar Rabbi Bar Bachana, Amar Yochanan. Miriam Chacham Rabbi Gamliel. Guess what? Rabbi Gamliel was so convincing that you should be able to do the shliach tzibur. The Chacham conceded. I said, no, you're right. Oish machlokes. Rav Amar, I'm on the bottom of Lamed Daled Amud Beis. I'm going back.
And had nothing to do that he was the Reish Galusa, right? No connection at all.
I don't know. Rav Amar, Adayin hi machlokes. Rav says, no, they're still arguing. They're still arguing. Shomer Reb Chiya Barei the Rabbi Bar Nachmani. He heard what was going on. Azal Amar l'Shmaitza Kamed Rav Dimi Bar Chinna. He said over the story when Rav Chinna. Amalei, I'm like 3 lines on the bottom. Amalei, Hachi Amar Rav. This is what Rav said. Adani machlokes. Rav said they're still arguing. The Chum still argue and hold that everybody's got to daven by themselves. Amalei Rabbi Bar Bachana. Nami Hachi Amar. He also said this. And Ki Amar Rabbi Yochanan l'Shmaitza. And he said over that when Rabbi Yochanan said over this halacha that the Rabbanan and the Ramoitis Rabbi Gamliel, if legalay Rish Lakish, v'amar Adani machlokes. So now Rav holds the still machlokes, Rish Lakish holds the still machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan holds the Chachamim conceded that everybody can be yotz with the shliach tzibur. Correct the Gemara. I mean, Amar Rabbi Yochanan haki. Did Rabbi Yochanan really say that the Chachamim conceded and you can be yotz with the shliach tzibur? V'amar Rabbi Chanan tzipura Amar Rabbi Yochanan hilchos Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Yochanan paskin that the halacha is like Gamliel. Obviously, they're still arguing because if the Chachamim conceded, there's no need to paskin like him. Hilchos Mechalak Pligi. Zok the Gemara. He saw like Rabbi Abba miyamai. When Rabbi Abba came back from his cruise, you have an article. You have the kudus. Is it miyamai? Is it meimai? Miyamei. When he came back from his cruise. Oh, Miami. Oh, very good. When he came back from Miami, gewaltig, the Meir Mutzka.
How did they title this?
Rashi says, he was on a cruise and he came back. He was on a cruise.
No.
It was not the Titanic because it came back. Here's he explained it as follows. Where did Rabbi Yochanan say that the Chacham conceded? That's the Birchas Rosh Hashana v'Shloim Kippurim. That's by the brachas of Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur. And the Gemara is going to say why soon. But the answer is obvious. And when he passed like Rabbi Gamliel, meaning the Rabbanan still argue and hold, you got to daven for yourself. That's by every regular Shmoneh Esrei. Correct? The more is that so? But Amar Abchanet Tzipura, Amar Yochanan, Halacha Karab Gamliel, Bebracha Shal Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. So you clearly see the Rabbanan are arguing even by the brachas of Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, and even there, you have to say your own Shmoneh Esrei. So, how do you explain this contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan? Is it halacha Rabbi Gamliel, or did the Chacham agree to Rabbi Gamliel? When Rabbi Yochanan said that Moedim, Chachamim, Rabbi Gamliel, he didn't mean the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan still argue. He meant Rabbi Meir, because there was another party to this machlokes. Not only did Rabbanan say you got to daven by yourself, Rabbi Meir said as well, and Rabbi Meir conceded. Halacha mechal pligi, and halacha mechal pligi, meaning there was no concession. There's still a machlokes. Is the Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan maintained their position that you got to daven by yourself, and Rabbi Meir agreed to Rabbi Gamliel. The Tanya we learned, Brachos Rosh Hashanah v'Shal Yom Kippurim, Shliach Tzibur Moitzi Arab Midei Chavos and Divrei Rabbi Meir. Dafka by those brachos. The Chachamim Meir, Hashem Shliach Tzibur Chayev, Kach Chal Yachad v'Yachad Chayev. So you see, it's Rabbi Meir who conceded to Rabbi Gamliel. Frank the Gemara, according to Rabbi Meir, by a regular Shmoneh Esrei, there you got to take it yourself. You can't rely on the Shliach. But by Yom Kippur, there you could be like, Maish Nahani. Why? What's the difference? If it's because there's a lot of psukim mentioned in the Musaf of Rosh Yom Kippur, and it's just too much to remember, you don't have to say them all. You don't have to say anything. So I want to stop for a second. I should have grabbed the siddur. The halacha is, you not a Muslim. If you don't know the Muslim for the day, or you say the wrong one, it doesn't matter. The only thing that you have to say by Musaf, the only words you have to say, that's halacha l'maisa. It's in the Mishnah. Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov, it doesn't matter when. I'm just going to mishaif to Musaf and Shabbos. You don't have to say, you're not going to say that. All you have to say is, this Musaf Yoim HaShabbos Hazeh, Nasa v'nakev l'fanecha b'yahava, k'mitzvah s'v'tzaynecha, k'moshe v'safta alinu b'sar yasecha, ayidei Moishe abdecha, nebicha v'decha kava. You say that, that's all you need to say. So therefore, you don't got to say all the long stickler. You only have to say that. So Mamela, you have to daven by yourself. So how could you say it's because it's long? It's not long. You can shorten it. But this is a very problematic stickle, because the pashtus is, instead of the musaf, you can just say those words. You can say Rosh Hashanah Lamar. But so that takes care of when you mention the musaf in the Rosh Hashanah davening. But what about the machis on the surface? That you got to say all the psukim. So let's see Rashi. Rashi says about it. Rashi says, "Kivin sha'amar was a Rosh Hashanah Kleimer Kivin sha'amar Nasa v'nakal v'necha mitzvah shenecha k'mo kshavlim shenecha in Torah Leiba mikroish hamusafin." You don't say the pasuk of the musaf, but it doesn't exempt you from machis achronis surface. So I'm going to now skip v'raboisai meforshim a couple of lines down in Rashi. The Hadar of Chananel, that Rabbi Chananel said, which is what we're talking about now, that you only have to say was Haras Chakas of Leimar. That's referring to Malchis, Zechonis, and Shirkis. You don't even have to say that. The Kachal is a Rashi. It makes no sense at all. I'm reading Rashi, it's like 4 lines down from where we were reading before. Actually, that's right. So 2 lines down in that Rashi, Rabbi Sim Mefrashin, the Hadar of Chananel, but Malchis was a Zechonis and Shirkis. The Kachal Rashi, it makes no sense. You learned in Rosh Hashanah that ain't Pesach Mechsar Malchis, and Shirkis, and then someone said it could be 9, it could be 3, but you could skip the whole thing. There's no such thing. So what is Rabbi Chananel saying? That you don't got to say anything. So that's a problem. So Tosfos comes to the rescue, and Tosfos says a very big chiddush. Let's see Tosfos. Here's the countries. The Musay Rosh Chodesh for Shana Malchis for Shana for Shabbos Kivin Amar who was a Rosh because of Leimar Kivin Amar Nasa V'Nakal V'Necha K'mitzvah Senecha K'moshe V'Saftim Tzarsecha Ein Tzarech Leimim Mekrois and Musaf. Moshe Rabbi said Pirish. You don't even got to say Malchis or Chodesh for Shabbos. Rashi asked, the Kasha had the Loik Rabban, the Loik Rabbi Yechim who said, Ain't Toich Sumei Asar Malchis. So Zok Rabbi Tama Yuch Chiddush. Rabbi Pirish, that psuki the malchi is a chayins v'shoifes kai. In fact, you don't have to say the psukim. If you say v'seroscha, it's enough. You don't have to say the psukim. Rabbi Yochanan, we learned in Rosh Hashana, says you got to say 10 psukim. The heicha the hizkel plea. If you started mentioning psukim, then you got to say the whole thing. That's why there's a machloek still yivchos lamar chedisla lamar chedisla. But avol yochel live deratzim with legamrei al yidei b'seiroscha because of lame. Avol makroi shel musaf tzarich la'askel la'olam shem b'makam hakabanis.
And what about the
Musaf-
tkiyas? What about the tkiyas in between?
The tkiyas you blow anyway. The tkiyas you blow anyway. But Tosh is saying a massive chiddush that we're suggesting you don't got to say the psukim b'malchis roish and shoifers if you don't start. If you start, you got to finish. So therefore, it's understandable what the Gemara says here. But Zok the Gemara. So what is the reason why Reb Meir would say that we could be mekel by Rosh Hashana, but you don't have to say all the psukim? So the Gemara el mishum the avshei. It's because of avshei. What does avshei mean? There's 9 brachas. A normal Yom Tov from Esrei, you have 3 brachas at the beginning, 3 at the end, and 1 in the middle. On Rosh Hashana, there's 3 in the middle. It's busy. There's more happening, and that's why you could rely on the shlichus. Zok the Gemara, the avshei brachas. There's a lot of brachas. Gufa. Now let's drill down into what Reb Chanan also said. Reb Chanan Amar Rav. Kivin Shomer v'Saroscha Kos v'Leimer. Shuv Einei Tzarich. You don't have to anymore say everything else. Shavamina. I would have thought. Hanim Libiyachid. That's someone davening b'Yechidus or davening the Shtil Shemon Esrei. He doesn't have to say anything. But the Chazan, loy itmar. The Havadi he has to say all the psukim. Amar Reb Shubal Levi. No. Echad Yachid ve'Echad Tzibur. Kivin Shomer v'Saroscha Kos v'Leimer. Shuv Einei Tzarich. I know most Bali Tefillah don't hold like this Gemara. Gewaltig.
Oh, you mean this is a lechatchila? That was like only a b'diavad.
It says once you say Osra, because that's all you have to say is there's a musaf. You don't have to actually say it.
That's all it said.
It depends on the chazan, I guess. It depends on if the chant was ready yet. Nice. Zok the Gemara. Yeah. No, libel could take those words and make them longer than malchis, achronis, and shofars. So he doesn't need words to add syllables. Good. Don't just go daven. Get yourself prepared so you don't kaket and neket. You don't stutter. You got to prepare a little. Amar Bavra. Mistaver Milsa de Rabbi Lazar is bebracha shal Rosh Hashanah v'shal Yom Kippurim v'shal Prakim. His halacha is brachas that you don't say regularly, right? You don't daven Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur every day. So because of that, those the Yom Tovim, the Yoitris, prepare those because you're not familiar with them and you're not going to know them. Hold on, the Chol Hashana, it feels that we say every day. Everybody shogeg b'fiv. You don't need to prepare. Why? And is that so? Rabbi Yehuda Masadi Tzaloisi Matzli. Rabbi Yehuda even during the weekday would prepare his tefillah before he davened. So tomorrow, shiny Rabbi Yehuda. Even the mitlas and yoyim, the tlas and yoyim have a matzli kiprakim dami. He only davened once a month. Rabbi Yehuda davened once a month. How can you daven only once a month? The Rashi tells us why. He learned kol Torah kula every 30 days. So he was Tarasim Nosai. Someone who's Tarasim Nosai doesn't have to daven. Why did he daven every 30 days? I'm assuming he didn't want to lose his membership. So therefore, he needed, since he only davened once in 30 days, he had to prepare. Kol Torah kula he knew backwards and forwards. Davening he had to prepare.
I remember somebody who was davening in Meir before the war said that he used to look at the Rosh Yeshiva of Meir and the Mashgiach of Pessel, and he saw that the Rosh Yeshiva and Pessel all they davened on Yom Kippur with the Shemona Esrei. Because by the time they finished one Shemona Esrei, they were already ready for the second one. So Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah, that's all they did. There were no other things that they had done.
Wow. Amar Bacha Bar Avi, Amar Shimon's Chasida. Even people who are in the fields, even them, they could be yoytze with the shliach tzibur. The lemi boy haini the kaini hacha, and you told me that kolshkin, the guys who are in shul, kolshkin, they could be yoytze with the chazan. Adarabba, the logic is exactly the opposite. Hani and nisi, people who have to work in the fields, they're stuck. They be able to rely on the shliach tzibur. But hani, these people who are inside the shul, into the city, let them come and daven. The Tani Abba Bared Rabbi Yomi Barachia. Am Shachar Kahanim. Anybody who stands behind the Kahanim, everybody knows the people who sit in the Mizrach Fan to Rav, he always comes to the Bima by Duchanim. Why? Because if you're behind the Kahanim, ain't a Mechal Bracha. You don't get a bracha. And Rashi tells us, even though people are not even in shul are included in the Birchas Kahanim, Hani, these people who are in shul, the Motzid L'meisi Kamet Kahanim, they could have moved a little bit and stand in front of the Kahanim. The Yivnu Kahanim Alayim, Bivarchim, Veim Leibo. They like almost like dissed the whole process because they could have easily come. Therefore, Ein B'chal Bracha. So here a guy in the Bishmedrash, you're saying Kol Shekain, he could be Yotzim Shliach Tzibur, Adarabah. He should move after that by himself. Ella, let's change it what it says. Only the Am Shabbos will be Yotzim with the Shliach Tzibur. My time is that least even malacha. They have to be out there working. They can't be in shul. But if you're in the city, you have to come. I just want to point out a very important Rashi. I want to. So the Rishonim are Masber, Shomer Payers, even on Yom Tov have to go out and be sure if it's not working, they're just standing here Shomer Payers. So they have to be out in the field, even on Rosh Hashanah. But the question is, what do you mean they're Yotze? So look what Rashi says. Rashi says, they're not they're out in the fields, they're not even in shul, they're not listening, they're not there. And they're still Moishe. So I was once chattering a little bit with Dr. Zoberman about the Chevra Shas that they daven Shachas every day at 6:30, which was before that. So he said, Chevra, so he told me, what are you talking about? Do you know that the first minyan, and it's brought down in the Rishonim, that every city is mechuyev, even if there's no one to daven, they're mechuyev to set one minyan up. There has to be one minyan, because that minyan will moiti the whole city, even those who don't daven. So he said the first minyan, I don't know who he told it to me from, Dr. Zoberman, but he told me the first minyan in every city that davens, they're moiti all of the people who don't daven. All of the fraya and the people who don't daven, that first minyan is moiti everybody. So I told him, you still shouldn't be so proud, because the Aguda also davens at 6:30. So it's lav davens at the Chevra Shas minyan. The Chevra Shas minyan is moiti the whole city. I said, lav davens, Aguda davens 6:30 also. So Shmuel told me you could only be moiti the whole city if you say every word, not just every Rosh Hashanah.
The question, however, is the minyan that is Yotze, everybody shouldn't go halacha. The minyan that shouldn't be halacha.
Hey, it's still an upgrade for the people who aren't davening. Okay. So Hadin Lach Yom Tov Slicha Lo Zechar Shana, Hadin Lach Yom Tov Slicha Lo Zechar Shana, Hadin Lach Yom Tov Slicha Lo Zechar Shana, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Okay, I hope everybody came with Taanis.
Are we making the stream on Monday, Yosy? Are we making the stream on Monday?
I made a scene by Shalshudas. We saved since Koska Tzedek. We actually be able to start Shalshudas 4 seconds earlier. I was always wondering, isn't there a Shana Yuma Sukkah? Why is Taanis after Rosh Hashanah? Right. So today we're going to have the answer. The Gemara on the first daf of Taanis tells us. So let's see what the Gemara says over here. Zokt Heilige Rai Masechta. Me'emasai Mazkirin Gevuros Kisham. When do we start saying Mashav Ruach Gemara Geshem? The answer is very simple. Whenever Bubu davens Geshem. Zokt Gemara. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, really, David Leibniz here, whenever Ari Leibniz says Geshem, because he says Geshem in the first meeting, so really the Geshem comes first. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Miyam Tov Harishan Shachad, on the first day of Sukkot. We don't pass like that, of course. There's going to be 5 opinions. Rabbi Shua Omer, Miyam Tov Achan Shachad, Shmini Atzeres. That's what we follow. Omer Lo Rabbi Shua. Rabbi Shua told Rabbi Eliezer.
The reason that we don't do it the first day of Sukkot is because the people that are traveling back from Eretz Yisrael, from the Beit HaMikdash home, should have Geshem on their way.
Well, then even on the last day Sukkot, you should say the same problem. Because they have to go home. So Amalei Rabbi Shua said, how could you be masking Gerush Kisham on the first day of Sukkot? If it rains on Sukkot, that's a siman klala. Rashi says it's like an Eved who's bringing something to drink for his Adoin and the other spills it back in his face. So why would you mask Gerush Kisham at the beginning of Sukkot if you don't want it to rain on Sukkot? Amalei Rabbi Eliezer says, what's the problem? I didn't say you should daven for rain. We're thanking the Rebbeinu Shalom. We're mentioning that the godless of the Rebbeinu Shalom is He gives us rain when we need rain in the proper time. We're giving the shvach. That doesn't mean we want rain now. Amar Loi. So Rabbi Yeshua told him, well, if that's the case, if it's just a shvach, you should say Masha Baruch Geshem all summer long. Because you're not asking for rain, you're just mentioning that the Rebbeinu Shalom has a gvura, give us rain at the right time. Ain't the same Tapal that already you don't say, because then you're asking for rain, then you only ask for it right when you need it. No, it's a difference. We changed the subject.
Yeah, we went totally.
Oh, so let's stop a second. Now that Shlomi finds it right up, what exactly did Rabbi Yeshua answer to that? Right? What Rabbi Yeshua can answer to that? I can say it all the time. I'm sorry.
No, yes.
What did Rabbi Lezer answer to that? Right? Rabbi Lezer, you should say it all the time. So the Gemara is going to answer it on number base, but Tosfos brings it up. So let's look at Tosfos Imkain, and let's skip down to the Rabbi Eliezer, the fourth line in Tosfos. Rabbi Eliezer, Omer Bebraisa the Gemara. Rabbi Eliezer is going to have a comeback for that in the Gemara, and he says, "Kol hakites." In fact, in Bola Hasker Masker, Rabbi Eliezer holds you're allowed to say Masha Ruach Hamoed Geshem all summer long. Rabbi argues we don't pass it like that, but Rabbi Eliezer says, "Yeah, no problem. Rabbi, you're 100% right. You could say Masha Ruach a whole summer. The La'olam Beinasim Mashma, because even in the summer, we're not thanking Hashem for giving us rain in the summer. We're thanking Hashem for giving us rain when we need it. Miu.
When you're supposed to.
Beautiful. That's Mamish what Aisha says. Miu arhashtalai rami alachai. All summer, you're not mechuyev to say Masha Baruch. Aval b'yom tov rishon chayv l'ratzois l'fnei she'ila. There's a chiyuv first to be meratz and be mishameich the Rebbeinu Shalom before we ask for it. So kol abola vakish, whenever you're making up a kosher, maktim u'meratze. First you're maktim u'meratze, and then you ask. Then you come in for the kill. Vasimin klola loikavdinan. And we're not worried that the simon klola that you're mentioning grain in the summer, because it's by nosai. Rabbi Shua Kapit. Okay, beautiful. No, even in the summer, it's a simon klola we're going to see.
So some people say Masha Baruch Hamoed Geshem.
They say that in the summer, yeah.
Yeah.
The Gemara discusses about that. The Gemara says Masha Baruch is very not relevant. The Gemara says that Ruach comes no matter what, and whether you daven for it or not, so you don't even got to deal with Ruach.
The rain is just going to fall back into the sea. We need the rain to bring the clouds.
No, you will see what the Gemara says. Ruach, the Gemara says we don't have to daven for, because that's going to happen no matter what. Zok Gemara.
No matter what. Because Baruch doesn't bring the ruach.
Hashem will bring it no matter what. He will never hold it back. Things that Hashem will never hold back, we don't got to daven. When do you say Talamotar? When you need rain. Once you have your umbrella. Someone who davens for the Amid on Shmini Atzeres, ha'achrein maskir. Bubu says the same Talamotar. Harishain, but the Baal Shacharis ain't a maskir. The Baal Shacharis does not say Masha Baruch. Yom Tov Rishon Pesach, on the first day of Pesach, Harishain maskir. The Baal Shacharis will still say Masha Baruch. But Achrein, but the Baal Musaf ain't a maskir. He stops saying it. The Taanis starts off, when do you say it? When do you say Gevush Kasham? Whoever said that you say Gevush Kasham? Tana Hechakoi, the Katani Mei Masa. Where did he learn any halacha that you're supposed to be masked Gevush Kasham, that he's now discussing when to say it? The Tana Hashem Kai. The Tana is a Mesechas Brachas. The Katani, which is a different Seder, it's in Seder's Royim, not Seder Mai. The Katani Maskir Gevush Kashamim, but Chesa Mesim, B'Shoy Alan B'Bichas Hashanim. So the Mishnah in Rosh Hashana says that, the Mishnah in Bracha says that. So now the Tana here wants to know the Katani me'emasay maskir in Gevush Kasham. Correct, Gemara. There's a little bit of a hesitation. The list in Hasam. Why didn't the Tana ask the question in Brachas when you say it? Why did he wait to the next Seder? Why did he wait until we got into Seder Moed? Ella, I'll tell you what's going on. Ella Tana Rosh Hashana Sallik. Now we know the connection from Rosh Hashana to Taanis. The Tana was in Maseches Rosh Hashana, where the Mishnah said that on Sukkot Hashem paskins how much water the world will have. The ID the Tana uvechag nidayin alamayim, since it mentions of chag nidayin alamayim, Tana me'emasai maskirin gevush kasham. Beautiful. So the connection is to Rosh Hashana.
Why didn't he do it in Rosh Hashana? Why couldn't we ask him to Rosh Hashana?
I guess we have to finish off that Indian. When we finish that subject, right after that, we have Taanis. Okay, so there's two pshatim in what we just learned about the fact that the Chag Nidayin Alamayim, what's the connection between that and being masked Gevush Kasham? So let's see Rashi. Rashi actually has two pshat. So I'm going to look at Rashi. Give Maschal Ella. Ella loy tema the other Ketani may Moshe the Hasam Koi. The Tana in Rosh Hashana. So the Tana was in Rosh Hashana. Sheshneim b'Seder Echad. They're both in the same Seder. And Rashi emphasis, I'm telling you, because you asked it, is that the main thing is that you're in the same Seder. Going to a different Seder, that's a problem. If you're in the same Seder, you work. So really, Rashi is directly asking your kasha. So it's a good kasha. Bechag have a din alamai. Since Hashem paskins on how much water we have on sukkahs, u'mishum detani a masai have a din alamayim. Since we're asking when is the din alamayim, since the Mishnah Rosh tells us when Hashem makes a din alamayim, katani nami emes is banaskar. So it's a loose connection. Since the Tana told us when is the din alamayim, we're discussing when we daven from when we're masking Gerush Kisham. So there's a loose correlation, but good enough why the Tana would talk about it here.
She also had a little bit in this year. Don't bother me with that.
No, but Rashi's second shot is more direct. So Rashi is the idea Tana b'chag nidayin kloimar. The Bach says that this is a second shot. Kloimar agav the Tana b'chag nidayin alamoyim. Since it says b'chag nidayin alamoyim, kasaver b'nafshay, this Tana is thinking to himself, if there's a din on mayim on sukkahs, well hoyel v'nidayin b'chag alamayim shemami nabi ask you in yonah demaya l'ritzuya alamayim. The fact that the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah tells me that they pass in, well, obviously we got to do something. We have to be masked. So it's more of a direct connection. So then he wanted to know. So it's not stam because we're talking about the subject. It's a direct connection. If there's a din, we got to do something about it. Frankly, more beautiful. So we should have said, what type of smart gavur gesham? What's wrong with playing gesham? So now we're going to engage in a long sequence of Talmudic logic that to a Talmudist is pashut, but to a regular person is not pashut. And I always say this over. I said it over many times. It's stale already, but I'm going to say it over again. There was a fellow who introduced himself as Beir al-Zamt. So the guy told him, where do you get your modern name, Beir al-Zamt? So Beryl answered back, that's such a simple answer. It's so obvious. Like I can't even believe it that I need to explain it to you. It's so obvious why my name should be Beryl Zamt. It says Beryl, if you rearrange the letters, it spells labor. Labor is a kaved. Kaved is shver. Shver is a shavua. A shavua is a vach. A vach is choil. Choil is zamt. So it's so obvious, Beryl Zamt. Like, what's your question? Right? So that's called a long sequence of Talmudic logic. So I'm sorry, David. There's a lot of Yiddish involved. I apologize. So Zok to Gemara. The Gemara is going to now say why we have Gevuras Kisham. So Zok to Gemara as follows. Amar B'Yochadam if they should yarden the Gevura, because when rain falls, it falls with the midah of Gevura. How do you see that? Shenemar, the pasuk says in reference to rain, and unfortunately, this Gemara doesn't have the Sukkim quoted because I have an older Gemara. So no, it's not a problem. So the pasuk says, does anybody have the Gemara with the Sukkim? You could just read it. Read it for us. Right? Beneflois in Mismar, and the next pasuk is Anoishin Mater al Pnei Haaretz Shalech Mayim al Pnei Chutzos. So all we got from this pasuk is the word Cheker. Right? Thank you. The word Cheker is used in reference to water. Right? So far, that's what we're holding. The word Cheker is found in reference to water. Direct to Gemara, wonderful. My mashma, what does this have to do with it? So Amar Rabba Bar Shila, it's so obvious. I can't believe you need me to explain it. The word cheker is also found when the Torah discusses Bria Soil. Which is by water. This is a Baruch Levine song. And the next half of the puzzle that's not in the song is what's relevant to us. I should read it. If I have the pasuk, I should read it inside, not like a Becker. So you find the word cheker is used by Bria Soil. So what does that have to do with anything? So tomorrow I'll tell you why. There's another pasuk talking about Bria Soil that says Meichin Harim Bekoichai Nezar Begavura. So you find that the word Gevura is used in reference to Bria Soil, and it also used the word cheker by Bria Soil, and it used the word cheker by Geshamim. So it's obvious that Gevura applies to Geshamim. Gewaltig, so simple. Correct Tosfos. So Zok Taisus. V'cheheched ahai cheker b'brias ha'olam, right to loymar, b'gvurais, k'moikein, hachagab b'gishamim, hai cheker nami, right to loymar gvurais. Just like cheker b'brias ha'olam means gvurais, so cheker b'gishamim means gvurais. Achan yesh lachshus. Frek Taisus, amai nokat gvurais, tvei mi koyach. The word koyach is also mentioned by brias ha'olam. U'chomoikein havel meimar, may mosay maskirin koyach kisham. Or maybe a different word, or listening gedulos kisham, because that's also one of the words in reference to brias ha'olam. So both of us we pick gevuras. So Taisus two very yishmakatus. So Taisus v'yishleimer the minadin nakat gevuras mishum taima vika koyach vika gedula. Gevura is a hybrid between koyach and gedula. Gevura is both elements. So that's what gevura is the right word. Inami, because when you start the second bracha, it's ata gibor. Mishum da bracha maschelos begevura. That's why it's appropriate to pick that one over koyach or godel, because that's what the bracha is about.
I always thought that the word herlich in Yiddish is a hybrid between
Herlich
and heilig.
Heilig. Ah, geweldig.
Herlich and what?
And heilig.
And heilig. Herlich.
Okay. Zok the heilige Gemara weiter. So now we know why it's gevuras kisham. Okay. Now we have another question. Okay. So maybe the same way the Rav has a state tehillim after davening, why don't we say Masha Baruch Mer Geshem after davening? Why does it have to be in the Shemona Esrei? We know under B'tfilah. Why does it have to be in the Tfilah? The Tanya tells in the pasuk in Krishma, we say it every day. What does it mean? La'avdi b'chol avavchem? Ezu avodah shibalei. Havam is a Tfilah. Tfilah is avodah shibalei. So the pasuk is talking about Tfilah, and what does the next pasuk say? So the time to mention Gvuras Keshamim is in Shemona Esrei. Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, Gimel mafteichos b'yodei shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's three keys that are in the hands of Hashem. Shloi nimsru b'yad shliach. We're not given to a shliach. And Rashi interprets this in a very strange way. And if you look at Rashi, second line from the bottom, Rashi shloi nimsru l'shliach echad b'yachad. Not that each individual key wasn't given to a yachid. No one got all three keys. No one got all three keys.
No single person got all
Right.
three.
So vos epis, Rashi learns that way. So let's first see what the three keys are. The Elohein, and then when you go into the Bach, because the Bach changes the order, but he doesn't change anything else. So the Bach in Gimel says, the Elohein, Maftech Shal Chaya, the key to give birth, Maftech Shal Geshamim, and the key of rain, Maftech Shal Tchias HaMesim, and the Maftech of Tchias HaMesim. So, Zok Toisves asks, it's not true. Vim Taimar, Harminon, the Maftech HaGeshamim, Nimtzar Nelio, the Maftech HaGeshamim was given to Elio, he withheld rain. V'chein Maftech Shal Tchias HaMesim. Tchias HaMesim was also given to Elio. V'chein Elisha also made Tchias HaMesim. So how can you say they never got the keys? So that's why Rashi learns that yes, they got one key, but they didn't get all three keys. Toisves says a different shot. Toisves says, doesn't mean they would never given over on an occasion to a shliach. We know that Elio and Elisha at least had some temporary control of that key. No one gets permanent control over that. So Toshas learns it's no one got permanent control, and Rashi learns no one got all three together. Okay, so Zok the Gemara, where do you see that these three things are only by the Rabbanim Shalom? So Gemara, Maftech Shal Geshamim, Dichsev Yiftach Hashem Lecha, is a Torah Toiv, as a Shemaim, Losses Mitar Arch Chabeitoi. So it's Yiftach Hashem Lecha, only Hashem has it. Maftech Shal Chaim Inayin, Dichsev Yizger Lakim Is Rachel, which is in next week's parsha, I think. Yishma Eleha, and you listen to her. Elikim, but Yiftach is Rachel. And Maftech Shal Geshamim, I'm sorry? Was this expression? Yosh was born this week? Oh, I wasn't listening good. Oy vey.
You didn't even hear the speech because you got thirty.
What speech? Oh, the speech about his kiddush. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was distracted. Okay. Okay. Minayin dechsiv. Okay. V'ivdach rachman meftesh shal tchis hameis minayin dechsiv v'datem kani Hashem v'pischi es k'versechem. So you see, the Rebbeinu Shalom has these three keys. The Marava used to say, "Af maftech shal parnasa." The maftech of parnasa is also only by the Rebbeinu Shalom. Dechsiv paisech eshadecha umaspia lachol chayrot. In fact, the Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan, my time of loika choshev laha. Why didn't he also talk about the key of parnasa? Amalach Yesham Ma'ani Panosa, because that's the same key, and therefore, there's no need to mention.
A different pasuk.
Yeah. Geshem is money. Okay, let's see the Gemara Vayter. Rabbi Lezer Miriam to Rishon Shachar. Iboilo. Rabbi Lezer says the
Yosy.
first day of yes.
For Taanis, the Rosh supplies everything. Why are we just focusing on these three in particular? Everything's from the Rebbeinu Shalom.
But I guess Hashem gives the keys out to a lot of different people.
So I mean, people have keys to everything else. Is that what he's saying?
That's what it seems like.
So the Rebbeinu
Like
Shalom.
yeshiva, everybody had the keys to different rooms, but only certain guys got the key to the kitchen.
Okay.
It's after those things that we go to the Rebbe's for.
I was thinking the same thing. Right.
What? What you say?
No, that's why you go to some Rebbe's for Chaim, some Rebbe's for Panusa, because if you go to one Rebbe for all three, then according to Rashi, you're out of luck. Unless you're trying your luck. According to Rashi, you have to go to multiple Rebbe's.
That's why you have to knock on so many doors until you find the right Rebbe that has.
And according to Tosh, it's even harder because you might have it today and not have it tomorrow. According to Rashi, you can have it permanently, but you won't have all three.
That's the way the Shekha makes sure that the Rebbe's have Panusa.
And the Rebbeinu hold that key of Panusa. Gewaldig. Ibailu. So Rabbi Lazar said that you say Masha Baruch on the first day of Sukkot. So where did he load from? Lulav? Is it from Lulav? And what does Lulav have to do with Ruach Hashanah? So Rashi tells us that Lulav is Shadoim Lulav. Mayim for Nasa is Doim Lulav. Why? Just like the Avraham, you can have without rain, because without rain it won't grow. And it says in Masechah Sukkah that when you shake the lulav, when you shake the dalad minim, it's maratza and mayim. So the world cannot be without water. So therefore, it's logical to say that you should learn to be master of Ruach Hashanah when you shake lulav. Or is it minisach hamayim gomer, or is it from nisach hamayim, which is obviously mayim, and you do nisach hamayim? What's the difference? So tomorrow, milulav gomer law, and they'll say ma lulav b'yoyim af haskar b'yoyim. Lulav you only shake in the morning, so therefore you only say Masha Baruch in the morning. Or maybe you learned that of Nisach Hamayim, and you'll already start saying Masha Baruch Geshem the first night Sukkot. Nisach Hamayim and Urta, Amar Mar umin Chasam v'Niskayim afilu b'Layla af haskar melut. And Rashi has two pshatim in Meir. One pshat is you don't actually do the Nisach Hamayim by night, but you draw the water the night before. That's what it means. But based on that pshat, it wouldn't quote the Amar Ma umin Chasam v'Niskayim afilu b'Layla, because we're not talking about actually pouring. We're actually talking about only drawing the water. So Rashi says in the second shot that if you're gurish to Amar Ma umin Chasam v'Niskayim, then it's referring to the halacha that you can even make the nesachim at night as well. Tashema, the answer is simple. Tamar Bavo said, Loi Lomda Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer didn't say that you do it on the first day. Elami Lulav. He learned it from Lulav. So clearly, you only start saying Masha Baruch on the first day of Sukkot, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Ikadami, how did Rabbi Vo know this? There are those who said he knew it, Gemara Gomer law. He heard it from his Rebbe. That's how he knew what Rabbi Eliezer meant. Ikadami Masnisa Shemiel. Or maybe he saw Brisa, and from the Brisa he figured out what Pshat Rabbi Eliezer was. What was the Brisa? The Tanya may Mazay Maskirin al Geshamim, Rabbi Eliezer Mishas Natilas Lulav. So he heard that Brisa, so right away he figured that of course Rabbi Eliezer is learning it out of Lulav. Now, so we have two sheets so far. Right? We have Rabbi Eliezer, that's day one of Sukkot. We have Rabbi Shua, that's Shmini Atzeres, which we pass. Now we're going to have three more sheets. Rabbi Shua Mishas HaNachasa, from when you put down the Lulav, which means on Hashana Rabbah. Amar Rabbi Eliezer said, Hoyel ba'arbas minim halolu, einon boyin elul ratzis alamai. Like we learned earlier in Rashi. Uchashem she'arba minim halolu, efshar b'hem b'loy mayim, kachi efshar lo'elam b'loy mayim. Right? That was Rabbi Eliezer's argument why it should be on the first day. Amar Rabbi Shua argued with Rabbi Eliezer. So this is a Bryce elaborating on the conversation between Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Shua told him, so why would you be masking Rosh Hashanah on the first day of Sukkot? Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Afani lo yamarti lishar. I'm not suggesting that you should ask for rain. I'm just saying that you should mention rain. Uchashem shetchias hamesim masker kol hashana kula ve'enoi ela b'zmana. Just like tchias hamesim, we mention it all year. We daven all year for tchias hamesim, but it only didn't happen when it happened. Kach maskirin gefurish geshamim kol hashana. So too, you can talk about the godless of rain all year, but it's only going to happen when it's supposed to. Oh, that's a beautiful kasha. The Gemara is going to mention that. Gevaltik. Lefichach. Therefore, according to Rabbi Eliezer, and this is what Toysus was referring to in Amar Aleph, in Bol Asper Kol Hashana Kula Masker. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you're allowed to say Masha Baruch from where to Geshem all summer long. Rabbi Yomer, like we say, Yomer Ani, Mishasha Mafsik Lishaelo Kach Mafsik Laskara. When you stop asking for rain, which is on Pesach, you also stop mentioning the Burush Kasham. So far we have 3 shitas, right? We have first day, 7th day, and 8th day. Rabbi Yehuda ben Besei Omer b'sheni b'chag u'masker. It's the 2nd day of Sukkot. Rabbi Kiva ben Beshishi b'chag, the 6th day of Sukkot. So could you imagine if we could sell Psicha for Geshem 5 times every Sukkot? That would be gewaltig. We should sell Psicha for Geshem 5 times. What? That's right.
Anybody else?
So Zak Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, Mishum Rabbi Shua Omer, Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Rabbi Shua. If you're davening for the Amud on Shmini Atzeres, ha'achrin masker. If you daven Moshe, you're going to say Geshem. But Arishin in the masker, Shachris, you don't say it. The Yom Tov Rishon Shal Pesach. If you're davening for the Amud on the first day of Pesach, Arishin masker. The Baal Shachris says Masha Baruch. Gemara Geshem. Ha'achrin the Baal Musaf Einin masker does. Fact the Gemara. Shaper Kamalei Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shua. Rabbi Eliezer is a very good tanya. Just like I masker Tchisa Mesim all year long, why can't they masker Bruce Kashamim all year long? And here's where Duvi's kasha fits right in. Amalach Rabbi Shua, you know what Rabbi Shua answered? Bishlam Tchisa Mesim masker the Chuliyim Izmanahu. I want it every day. El Geshamim Kolaim is the Ashins Menayu. I don't want to rain every day. It's not good to be there every day. But none, right? Duvi, that was your kasha, right? But none. Yota Nisan, but you're the Geshamim. Once Nisan is over and you've already harvested and you're leaving your stalks piled up in the field to dry out, and it rains, it's going to make your tuah moist and moldy. It's going to ruin your tuah. We want it to be dry all summer. There's a pasuk in Shmuel, where Shmuel was morning Klal Yisrael for asking for a melech. He said, today is the time to cut. I'm going to daven to Hashem, it should rain, to be an honest for you, that you're asking for a king. So you see clearly it's a very bad thing for it to rain in the summer. Rabbi Yehuda ben Besei Omer, b'sheni b'chag hu masker. Where in the world did the Rabbi Yehuda ben Besei get that idea that on the 2nd day of Sukkot, you should say Masha Baruch? Look the Gemara, it's because that's when the Nesachim start. How do you know that the Nesachim start on the 2nd day? My time is Rabbi Yehuda ben Besei, the Tanya Rabbi Yehuda ben Besei Omer. This is a Rebbe Shetoyer. Never b'sheni. It says on the 2nd day of Sukkot, v'niskeim. So it says usir izem echad lachatas milvad olos hatamid u'minchasav v'niskeim. But there's really only one nesachim. It's a double lashon. It's an extra. So the mem is really extra. So that mem is extra. Plural. Right? It should be singular. It's plural. So the mem is extra. The never b'shishi. It says on the 6th day of Sukkot u'nisacheha. Usir chatas echad milvad olos hatamid u'minchasav v'niskeim. It should say u'nisacha. So the yud is extra. So far we have a mem and a yud. What do you think the next letter is going to be in hangman? Whenever b'shvi kimishpatam, it says minchasam niskeim laparim leilam lakpasam b'mishparim kimishpatam, which is a kimishpat. So hare mem yud mem. You have an extra mem, an extra yud, an extra mem. It spells mayim. So hare kan mayim. So you see, Michan Remes al Nisach Hamayim in Torah. The Remes for Nisach Hamayim is on the second day. That's when you start doing Nisach Hamayim, and that's when you should be masked Gurush Kasham. In fact, tomorrow, my Shnab is Sheni Denachlet, plus punkt the second day of Sukkot. So tomorrow, the Chiramizi, Lahu Bekra, B'Sheni Udiramizi. The first mem of Mayim is on the second day. Hilchach B'Sheni Mitkarim. What about Rabbi Kiva, who says B'Shishi, B'Chagu Masker? Where did he get it from? Shenemar B'Shishi Nusacheha. There's 2 Nesachim on the 6th day. B'Shnei Nisuchim HaKosam Metaber, Echad Nisuch HaMayim, V'Echad Nisuch HaYayim. Correct the Gemara. So you're telling me that one of them is Mayim, so that's where Mayim is mentioned, that's why you're asking for Mushkasham. Who said that Unusachel is referring to water? Maybe they're both one. Or maybe there's nothing about water on that day. So tomorrow, Azoy Bait, he holds like Rabbi Yehuda ben Meir's Rabbi Shetoyer. So have a look at Rabbi Yehuda ben Meir, the Merimizi Mayim. He holds it at Mayim. But he holds, so for the more, if he holds it of the Rabbi Shetoyer, he holds it Mayim. He saw a look at Rabbi Yehuda ben Meir, name a kavose, so he should say that you say Masha Baruch on the second day of Sukkot, which is when Mayim starts. So if the Gemara know, because over Rabbi Kiva, the idea that it has to be Mayim, we know from the extra Mayim, but the reason why it's on Shishi, because it says on the Sechel by Shishi. Okay, let's stop here. Now tomorrow at the 7 o'clock shir, I'm going to repeat that base. So whoever is coming tomorrow at 7, I'm going to repeat that base because I don't want to get ahead because people get upset at me when I get ahead because they want me to be on the daf. But at the 9 o'clock shir, I'm going to be doing daf gimel. And that's because Moishe Rubner wants me to do daf gimel because on Monday, Westbrook's not going to be here. So he wants to do daf gimel. So by the 9 o'clock shir, I'm going to do daf gimel. And on the 7 o'clock shir, I'm going to do daf base. But on Monday, regardless, I'm doing daf gimel. Okay. So we'll be on the right move.
What time are you shurim every day?
6 during the weekdays, work days at 6 a.m. and 9 a.m.
You gotta load that. Can you get
And on Sunday, it's 7 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Give it on Zoom.
So 9 a.m. I'll try it. It's very hard.
Whatever works. All right, so I dig in. David, why do I see saliva dripping down your cheek?
Because I can smell the pizza.
Gewaltig.
Yeah, very good earphones.
Okay, I get to vach, everybody. Shkoyach.
I get the bach.
Have a very, very safe trip tomorrow.
Thank you.